earlier this week, the government published guidance on actions for schools to enable them to reopen. What assessment have you made as chief scientific advisor on how effectively those adjustments can be implemented?
I haven't.
So
The
where have
department. So the department is currently going to be working with. So the department is working with PHE on the first draft advice, and we'll be working. I'm sure we'll be discussing this further with PHE and others in terms of development of that advice following feedback.
Zara?
Okay, so you won't be able to tell me whether there's a risk of transmission if social distancing measures, such as keeping children apart or schools unable to have smaller classrooms, are not strictly observed.
So there is always there's always a risk of transmission. I think the question is, can we get the risk of transmission to zero? No. I don't think, well, that is a personal opinion. I can't, risks don't go to zero. And the question is, what can you put in place that will help reduce risks as much as possible? So there will always be, I think there will always be some risk. And the question is that a tolerable risk? I mean, there's a risk even in going to school anyway is not a risk-free environment. So the question I think is, to what extent is that risk acceptable?
So you've just mentioned that the advice that the government issued is being looked at and will be reissued. Will you be playing a role in that? And when will that be reissued?
So I don't know when. I'm sure that I expect that guidance will be developed. Certainly, my role will be to continue if we have updated consensus on the science from SAGE, will be to ensure that feeds into the guidance.
Okay.
Some schools are due to open, well, some year groups anyway, on the 1st of June. The fact that the guidance hasn't been reissued and that schools will have very little time, does that not concern you?
So the 1st June opening is dependent on a bunch of conditions being met, as I think the Prime Minister announced. So schools have been asked to prepare for that opening.